I got a Precipe day on Tuesday, so it's going to be good. I really think it's going to be a good time because it's the same judge that I had back in 2008 that explained the difference between legal and lawful. And then I had him a year or two later when the court clerk interfered in my right to access the court. And he had to recuse himself because he realized I was correct, and he realized that he was going to have to I'll let the judgment come against his court clerk, who obviously the court clerk, assigns the judges his cases, and, she does all the accounting, so obviously he couldn't get involved. So it's going to be fun. Again, it's the same thing. It's the same court judge, and I'm going to have a Precipe day with him. I'll ask him some very simple questions. If he knows what a court of record is, I'm going to ask him if he knows what his definition of a court of record is. And if he doesn't know, I say, do you wish to recuse yourself at this time and get somebody else in here who might have a better understanding, if you don't feel that you're qualified to handle such a case? Because I did not see, somebody said to me that the man acting as governor, some man named Terry, I don't know his last name, a couple or something like that, did put an answer into the court sometime this week. And something about a motion to sanction, I think it was. But obviously I'm going to tell the judge, this case is to remain sealed until it comes before the jury. You know that, right? And I don't know anybody's opinion on nobody's going to discuss a motion. That's not how this works. This isn't a legal matter. Attorneys aren't allowed to submit paperwork into this case, and only man can testify before the court. And obviously the court is going to be just that of a man and another man on the other side, and they're going to have to testify that either they did something wrong or they didn't do something wrong before a jury. And I'm just here to say that they owe a debt. I'm not saying that they're here because children are taken away. I'm here because I said, I don't care what you take. I told them, I gave them fair warning. I said, I don't care if you take a slinky or a hula hoop or a copper penny or a car or a donkey or a mule or a child or a bucket of hay. I don't care what you take. Anything that you take of mine, I'll require you to compensate me for. It's that simple. I'm not part of your legal society. I'm not a citizen of your state. I don't reside here. I have no understanding of when you try to converse with me as a legal person. I'm not a legal person. I will not talk to a legal person. I only talk man to man. There is no duty and obligation I have for any legal society nor a legal person. I don't have to answer any of your questions. I don't have to address any of you folks. If you address me other than man, and you're not a man, that's as far as I'm concerned. I have no duty and obligation to speak. I have no duty and obligation to even acknowledge you. And I will not. I said, if anybody wants to have any dealings with me, intercourse, whatever, however you want to describe it, define it, you're going to have to talk to me man to man. I'm not going to talk to you as some sort of authority figure over me. Authority means you're a dictator. I don't worship a dictator. You're not Hitler. You're not my fury. You're not my father. I don't have to bow down to you. You have no jurisdiction or control over me. I'm self-governing, and if you don't like it, well, you know what? In this land, we have the right to self-govern. If you don't like it, I don't care. Take a vote on it, and it's still not going to matter to me. So just because 51% of the people say that I have to go or I have to be under their control, I couldn't care less who takes the vote. I don't vote. I just self-govern. And I'm just going to send them some simple, I'm going to hand him some simple notices. I'm going to hand him, I'm going to tell him I'm going to also add some lady named Linda Jones, who seems to think she still can control that which is mine, and some man named James Glick, who thinks that he can move a court, even if it's quasi-court, when it pertains to that which is mine, that he knows where that which is mine lies, and he refuses to return it. And it was funny, the attorney that they gave to my mom, he said, well, Karl's never asked the court for them to return his kids. Karl's never petitioned the court. And as I Karl won't petition the court, Karl won't ask a court. Karl will just talk to the man or woman who, bottom line, like on Tuesday, bottom line, who has control of that which is mine. Do I have control over it, or who has control over it? And I'm going to love for them to say, well, it's when I saw the petition the other day to take the kids, it said like VDSS or SDVSS or whatever. I said, who petitioned the court? And if they say VDSVS, I say, so who's this Mr. Civitas? I never missed this Mr. Civitas. Where could I meet this Mr. Civitas? Where could I send the bill to Mr. Civitas? And they'll say it's Shenandoah Valley Social Services. So this is Mr. Civitas, huh? Or Mrs. Civitas. No, it's an agency. Really? And what is this agency's value or worth? Who or what is this agency worth? Are they worth anything? Do they work? Do they have an income? What? Or who is this? And they'll say it's a why. And I'll say, you're speaking to a who. So you're trying to say what? Petitioned a court to take that away from a who? Who do you think you're talking to? Or what do you think you're talking to? Is VDS a what? Is it a fictional entity? Or is it a living, breathing man? What is this thing called VDSV? And you're saying a thing took something away from a living, breathing man. How is that possible? Something with arms and legs must have did this. Just 3 or 4 or 5 letters on a piece of paper did not do this. Man must have signed that piece of paper. Man must have created that piece of paper. Who was in control of that piece of paper? Who is in control of this SDVDSD? Because that's the man that I have my claim with. Who is that man? Where is that man? Who is this who controls this VDSS? Who is this? That is the man that I wish to meet. This is the man I wish to speak to. Who is this man, or who is this woman? What is their name? Where may I find them? Don't try to tell me something took and carried off my children. Don't tell me something petitioned a court. Don't tell me something named VDSV, filed paperwork. Something can't hold a child, can't hold the property of a man. So who is this thing? Or what is this thing? What is it by nature? What is it? Is it a creation of man? Yeah, then who is the man that created it? And they say it's an act of the legislation. Who is in charge of the legislators? Who is the number one legislator? Who's in charge? Who is this? Who's in creation? Who's in charge of this creation? Who? And I want to have that man come forward and explain, what does he think he's doing? What does he believe he can and cannot do? What makes him have these beliefs that he can do this? What makes him believe that he could vote or take that which is not his by a majority vote? What makes him think that this nation runs by the mob rules? Just because it's 51% rules, that is called the mob rules. So how does he believe that that's fair and just, that we live in a nation where the mob rules? And he's going to say, yes, the mob rules every 4 years. The mob rules. Every 51% of the people enslave the other 49%. Yes, the mob rules. You are correct. I said, well, what makes you think I'm part of this land where the mob rules? What makes you think I have to be part of the mob rules? What makes you think I can't rely on an older law, an ancient law, where man is only liable to his fellow man? What makes you think I'm liable to the mob? And what makes you think the mob can control me? Who's in charge of this mob? Or is it just everyone for themselves? So I'm just trying to get established. There has to be a rule of law established in this land again. It can't be the mob rules. And that's what's going on. It's the mob rules. Who's going to establish the rule of law for this land? The politicians, aren't they? Like it where the mob rules. They're trying to enforce the mob rules throughout planet Earth. They're trying to get every nation to be a democracy. They're trying to get total turmoil all the time, where they could come in and control the people with a police state. If every nation on planet Earth is a democracy, then it's the mob rules. If the mob rules, then the United States could come in with their policing powers and their policing agency and their surveillance equipment and control all the people to protect the people from themselves. Because 51% want to kill the 49, and 49 wants to kill the 51 because they're trying to be enslaved. Just like I said, what Barack Obama said, the greatest gift our forefathers gave us was the right to self-govern. Then one of the most horrible things the president ever said is, that's why in this land we have the right to vote every 4 years to decide who's going to control us, who is going to run the government. And if you don't like who's in charge now, which I happen to be in charge now, you could vote me out in 4 years and you could have somebody else control you. You could have somebody control me. You could have somebody tell me what to do. But right now, I'm in charge and I'm going to tell you what to do. If you don't like it, vote me out. No, that's not what self-governance is. That's not the gift our forefathers gave us. It was the right to the mob rules. And that's what everybody was warned 200-300 years ago, that if you allow this democracy to break loose, you understand it's going to wind up in time where the mob rules. And that's exactly what's going on. And that's what they want to spread around planet Earth, is democracy. And like I said, if anybody understands, like anarchy, the mob rules throughout public schools taught us all that somebody who said the word anarchy was a bad man, was a very bad man. And anarchy just means you self-govern, that there is nobody above anybody. Everybody's equal. So anarchy means there is nobody above us. Only God's above us. So anarchy is considered a very horrible word, because they don't want you to believe that there's something, a supreme being above us. They just want you to believe, no, I'm above you. I got the big crown. I'm above you. I got the most votes. No, there's nobody above you. There's no man or woman above you, that's for sure. But they don't want you to believe that, because for a couple of 100 years, man was led to believe that he self-governs, and they will get it back to their way of life, where there was a king, where there was a president, where the people decided that they were going to look up to a leader. Who was that who said that in the Old Testament about David? You know, are you sure you really want a king? Are you sure you just don't want to self-govern? Are you really sure that this is what you want to do? I forgot whether they were talking about David or Solomon. Are you really sure, God says, that you really want a king? Are you really sure that you don't want to self-govern anymore? Are you people that lost that you need a leader? On Tuesday should be fine. Thank God I go first. I go at 9:05 a.m. and my brother Frank goes in at 9:25 a.m. So it'll be nice, it'll be nice and relaxed, because they'll get to, and he'll be able to see what I do.